Flashing about handcuff.
So, today's topic, I have decided I want to talk about something that is actually very near and dear to my heart. It's actually a really serious topic, and it is whimsicality and the idea of being a whimsical person. I just wanted to set people free. If you're a little bit odd, if you're a little bit weird, you'll find that that will actually set you free and will probably propel you into places that you actually want to be. So, the first thing I wanted to do is just define what whimsical is. So, according to Professor Google, whimsical is playful, quaint, or fanciful, especially in an appealing and amusing way. The way I would describe whimsical from my perspective is just somebody who's a bit odd, somebody who has something that's quite slightly musical to them. Like they're a bit different, they're a bit weird, a bit quirky, not like other girls. That's how I would describe a whimsical person, basically. But I say whimsical people are just people who are a little bit odd from my perspective, but in a good way, in a lovely way, actually. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, I wanted to talk about different ways you can be whimsical, because I feel like whimsicality manifests in different forms. And what I've written down on my trusty dusty iPad is in your opinions. So you can have very whimsical, very odd, very out of the blue, unexpected opinions. It could be in your interests. But if you have an interest that's very specific or very niche, I feel like that gives a whimsical personality. I think it can also be in your personality. So if you're like somebody who's a bit odd, so you have your little quirks and little weird things about you, I feel like that makes you more whimsical. The last one that I actually didn't write is through your style. So I feel like the most obvious manifestation of whimsicality, am I central? I feel like the most obvious manifestation of whimsicality would be style. So like if you're somebody who wears bold colors, bold patterns, like all of that great stuff, style is probably the biggest one. So I wanted to list some of my favorite whimsical characters and just personalities that I've noticed through media, through just being on the internet. First person I will always refer to as like the queen of whimsicality, in my opinion, or the princess of whimsicality, because her character is quite young, is Harper from Wizard of Waverly Place. She was probably the best dress. But can we talk about the artistry? Can we talk about the creativity that goes into wearing a dress made out of pens? What? Do you have a... Yeah, you don't have a dress made out of pens. She wore the craziest outfits and they just all made sense to me. Like every time I saw her appear on the screen with a different crazy concept, because she didn't wear clothes, matter of fact, she wore concepts. That was very whimsical and I really loved that about her. It just made her character more interesting, more dynamic, and it made me kind of look out for her in each scene, like, oh, what is Harper wearing? So yeah, she's the first character I'd ever describe as like whimsical. The second character I would describe as whimsical is Tracy Ellis Ross from Girlfriend and from Blackish. So I feel like with her, it's more her personality. She has a very, and I just love her in real life, actually, as a person, not just as a character in those shows. Because in those shows, she did have a whimsical spirit to her, but just in real life, I feel like she just embodies whimsical. Like, we should take, I was going to say take shots, but we don't drink here. We should I don't know. People should send me £5 every time I say the word whimsical. How about that? She just has a very fun and youthful spirit to her. Every time I'm on her Instagram, it just seems like she's doing something interesting with her time. And I know a lot of people do interesting things. Cool. It just feels like she's unapologetically herself. The third person that I would describe as whimsical, I would say, is Eartha Kitt. Eartha Kitt from The Emperor's New Groove and Catwoman and all the other amazing movies that she's done. But I just wanted to briefly bring her up because her personality as a person, also like Tracy Ellis Ross, just screamed whimsical. There was an interview that she did where she talked about compromise, and I think it's kind of like a viral-ish kind of video, but it's just about her talking about relationships and compromise, and it's just the way she speaks. Like, I feel like the person I'm imagining when I talk about whimsical is somebody who has a bit of vibrato to their voice. I don't know if that's the right term, but somebody who speaks with expression and like passion about what they're talking about, and it's just so interesting to watch. And that video, and just knowing her from like the Emperor's New Groove and stuff like that, like her voice is iconic. Like,
take him away.
Also, on the note of whimsical, I feel like whimsical has a musical element to it, and Eartha Kitt really does embody that. Like, when I heard her singing, there's a song she'd sang for the Emperor's New Groove that actually didn't get released, but it's called Snuff Out the Light or something like that. And it's just such a like, and actually, fun fact, disregard that, she was the original singer of Santa Baby. If you don't know, get to know.
An out of space convertible to light blue. I'll wait up for you, dear Santa baby, and hurry down the chimney tonight.
You know how iconic she is. I feel like some people are really sleeping on her, and her voice just has such character to it. I couldn't imagine anybody else playing Yzma. It wouldn't have worked. I probably wouldn't watch the movie, but her voice just adds that layer of depth and just interest and just whimsicality. Let me stop. And talking about that musical element, the next character I'd say that is quite whimsical is Maria from The Sound of Music. And I only recently watched The Sound of Music for the first time, and I was blown away. I don't know why I haven't watched it earlier, because I actually love musicals, but I think it's because it was so old and I didn't watch it when I was young, so what's the point of watching it now? I watched it literally 2-3 days later. I had to buy the record. I had to buy it. The character Maria, when I watched her, like the movie for the first time, I was like, this lady, she's hilarious. Like, she was just so bold and so herself. Like, even that scene where she was skipping down the road holding her guitar and swinging it around, I was like, that, yeah, like that, give me that type of joy. Even the scene where she cut up the curtains to create clothes, like, isn't that very Harper? See what this can you start to picture the type of person I'm describing when I say whimsical? You see what I'm saying? The last personality that I wanted to talk about in regards to whimsicality is another one that I actually don't know as extensively as I wish I did. However, she is a world-known name, and her name is Grace Jones. I feel like she has a very whimsical personality, specifically also in the way she speaks. I watched an interview of her recently, and she spoke with so much passion and expression in her voice. And I think she's also known, from the one movie that I remember her from, she's known for having a very bold, very outgoing, very strong aesthetic look, feel, vibe, all of that.
I ate it, but its fragrance tested very well.
One thing about the whimsical nature that I'm speaking about is boldness. One thing I'm really interested in, and one thing I really want to adopt more for myself, is boldness. Like, people who are unapologetically themselves and don't care what people think about them. So yeah. So anyway, moving on. Now to the last part of the video, which is reasons to be whimsical, or reasons why whimsicality will set you free. But yeah. Anyway, being a little odd is actually really freeing. I think this really seamlessly falls into this whole notion people have been speaking about recently, where they've been saying, the thing that's holding you back is your fear of being seen, and being cringe is going to get you to where you want to be, and and it's like, yes, whimsicality fits in there, because, you know, when you're whimsical, the way I defined it is like, you're a little bit weird, you know, you're a bit quirky, and you don't care what people think about you, you're kind of bold. It actually frees you from your environment. Like, so I'm from the hood in London. Am I allowed to say that on the internet? Anyway, yeah, I'm from the hood in London. Every time I tell people where I'm from, they're always like, oh, you're from, I remember especially in uni, I got that a lot. When I was in uni, every time I told people where I'm from, they'd be like, oh, you're from there? You don't act like somebody from there. You don't look like somebody from there. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's what I mean when I say being a little odd will set you free, because it's like, me being a bit, not odd, maybe some people find me odd, but me being a little bit different or whatever from my environment kind of allows me to attract people who are more like me, and people are surprised about me being from people are surprised about me being from where I am. Does that sentence make sense? I don't know, but you know what I mean. Like, just because you're from a certain place and they do certain things and they look a certain way, they dress a certain way, doesn't mean you necessarily have to adopt everything about that environment. Like, sometimes I think with whimsicality there is an element of creativity that comes into it, where it's like, okay, this is how people around me dress, this is how people around me speak, this is what people around me like to do, but what do I actually like to do? How do I like to dress? Like, what am I interested in? Like, yeah, that's what I mean by it sets you free from your environment. Because sometimes, especially when we're younger, especially in like secondary school, I felt like I did this a lot. It's like I wanted to like fit in, like most people do, like most kids do. We all kind of want to fit in, and it's like we don't want to be weird, we don't want to be different, you know, because it's just like being weird is like cringe. And I remember I used to struggle with that whole thing of cringe. Like, I used to think cringe used to actually make my spine hurt, but now I'm getting to a point where I am so cringe that I've gotten to a point where like I don't care. And you know what it is, when you're a creative person, you kind of have to be a little bit cringe, because it's just like, it depends on what you do, but it's like creativity in itself is uncomfortable. So there you go. But yeah, that's my first point. Being a little odd is freeing and it sets you free. The next point is doing or saying something unexpected challenges not only you but the people around you. I have done this, and I have had this being done around me, if that makes sense. Like, I like to sometimes be that person that says like an odd opinion, even if I don't actually believe in it. I just want to see what people say. But also, I've met people who do that, and I just find those people so funny and interesting, because it's just like, are you okay? But also, like, I applaud you for actually having the confidence to actually say your opinion that's not the same as everyone else, because it's like you don't necessarily feel the need to agree with everyone, basically. You know, when you don't agree with people, you challenge people, and I think that's what makes you more interesting than just wanting to agree with people. As much as agreeing with people is a normal part of life and society, you know what I mean, you don't want to be antisocial, but having your own opinion, or having an opinion that's a bit odd and different and sticking by it, firstly is really cool, and it's very attractive, because it's like, oh, this person's confident in their opinion. It allows people to kind of think, oh, why do I think this way? Oh, why do I But if you just agree with everything people are always saying, and the thing is, you don't have to force it. Like, if you actually don't agree, don't. If you actually do agree. But not agreeing does encourage people to think, and it kind of encourages you to think, because sometimes I have a point that I actually do agree with people. I have a point that I actually do agree with people. Is that how I say it? But I have to ask myself, oh, why do I agree? Why do I think like that? Like, do I think like that because that's the norm and that's what everybody else thinks like? Or is it like, is this something I actually truly believe in and stuff like that? So yeah, also having different opinions actually makes you very unpredictable. And it's like, who doesn't want to be unpredictable in a good way? You don't want to be unpredictable in like a crazy kind of scary, like, I don't know what this person's going to say, like, get me out of this room, please, way. But you want to be unpredictable in a way that's like, oh, this person always has a different opinion, so what kind of opinion do they have this time? So that's my point with that. The next point is about how you dress. And one thing about me, I like a bit of fashion, I like a bit of style. Dressing how you feel can actually be a very helpful tool. I feel like we live in a world right now where trends are consistently changing, style is consistently changing, and everybody's really trying to find like their personal style and stuff like that, which is cool. But I feel like with that, people who are whimsical, I feel like they have this way to incorporate things that they're interested in into their style, which I think is cool. Which is like, for example, Harper, like, she did that with a lot of like her interesting clothes, like, or I don't know, earrings or jewelry or accessories that kind of emphasize something you're interested in, whether that's a film, whether that's a style of, I don't know, art, I don't know. But people who incorporate their interest in their clothing and in their style is actually really interesting. It's really cool, and it's very whimsical. It allows you to express yourself, express your interest through your clothes. But yeah, go through your letterbox and see what movies you like or whatever. Like, just go through that and kind of just look at what interests you and just incorporate that in your style. That's a cool way to have a very whimsical, very fun, very personal style. Because I clocked, you know what, personal style isn't personal anymore. Sorry, I feel like personal style isn't actually that personal anymore, but that's a whole different conversation for a whole different day. But yeah, actually, this is my favorite point, and this is the last point, is you attract your tribe. Can you tell I'm tired? So by you attract your tribe, I mean you attract people who are like you. The easiest way to attract people who are like you is to be yourself. That was so deep. I think it kind of links to every point that I've said. Being yourself and being unapologetically yourself. If you dress the way you want to dress, and if you say the things you want to say, and if you hit all the other points and you're doing it boldly, you will attract your people. But yeah, when I was in secondary school, I wouldn't say I was a weird person. I was kind of normal. I was kind of normal. So that's what normal people say. You know, when an alien comes from out of Earth, when an alien comes from space and they're like, I'm a human. That's like how I feel right now when I said I was a normal person. Like, okay. But yeah, I was like a normal kid. And yeah, I had a lot of very specific interests that nobody around me cared about. But it wasn't until I found a few select people, that that actually genuinely cared about the things I cared about, and those people are my friends to this day. But yeah, like I have a friend that I can literally talk about the most obscure and specific Disney Channel references, not even Disney references, Disney Channel references with her, and she'll get it. And I think ultimately, isn't the main thing that we all kind of want is to be understood and accepted for who we are? So yeah, why not be yourself so you can actually find the people who accept you for who you are? Because I feel like if you're being half of yourself or a little bit of yourself in fears that people will judge you and stuff like that, which is an understandable struggle, you're gonna attract people that are kind of half of yourself, if that makes sense. But another example is my sister, to be fair. Like my sister, she's a huge gamer. She's always been an anime gamer girl, whatever. And I remember when we were younger, I didn't see any other people, black girls who were like her. Until recently, she started attracting more black girls who like anime because she dresses like an anime character. And it's just like, that's the first thing people see about you. So there you go. But it's just like, see, you attract people who are like you just by being yourself and being unapologetically yourself. And obviously, if you're not into fashion and people aren't going to see your style and know that you like anime, then it's a different story. Just, I don't know, take other points and work with those. But yeah, like just being yourself, you really attract your people, which ultimately allows you to be around people you actually want to be around, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's this video. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll have another one coming up soon. My next video will be